Hello from New York City. It's Heather King. I'm on the Upper East Side in my room that I've been in for the better part of 2 weeks, all during Christmas. And I'm just thinking to make a little Epiphany greeting, since Epiphany is Sunday. First, I want to say, is it a law of the universe that literally the moment you discover, oh crap, I'm going to Mexico in March and my passport, who knew, expires February 25th, 2025. And so you realize, oh no, I have to like spring into action and do an expedited application. I don't have a printer here, so I kind of have to wait till I get home. Of course, there's a million different sites and forms and so forth. And at that exact moment, a huge truck will pull up outside your window and start like grinding, or the leaf blower will start. It seems that happens so often, just when you're most stressed, some horrible thing happens. But then, of course, it can happen the other way too, where the road clears. And anyway, so yeah, so the thing about traveling is when you get home, there's always this giant load of stuff to do, especially January. It's always like that. I think, you start thinking about taxes and mammograms and annual tests. Anyway, I wanted to talk about ordering. I'm a big believer in ordering my day. I mean, now I'm a Benedictine Oblate, so my day is consciously at an even deeper level ordered to prayer, I will say it has been for quite a while, but I think even it's a deeper surrender, a deeper commitment. And I read this piece quoted in Bishop Erik Varden's sort of blog. It's called Coram Fratibus, I think. He sends them out, these notes, each Monday. Bishop Erik Varden, Erik with a K, Varden, Norwegian bishop and Trappist monk. Wonderful stuff. But he quoted an interview with British journalist Luke Coppen, Coppen. And it was in response to a question that many people had about, what if I have to spend Christmas and New Year's alone, and I'll feel so sorry for myself, and what can I do? So Luke Coppen said, I'd advise them to be monastic about it, which is to say, devise a timetable. If I go around telling myself I'll be all alone for all of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, those 36 hours will seem interminable. If instead I say to myself, right, I'll start with carols from Kings. At 4, I'll get supper ready. I'll bring Aunt Susan, then spend half an hour pondering the Christmas gospel. I'll read a Christmas story by Selma Lagerlof, whoever she is, then watch Mass online, etc. You get the idea. What matters is not to frame some dictatorial scheme, but to fill the day with purpose, all the while asking, is there perhaps something I can do for someone else? And I just love that, because that is really, I read that and I said, that is exactly how I order my life. And therefore, even though I live by myself and work by myself in one way, I'm constantly connected with the world, and also constantly working as a labor of love, I would say. So, for example, in the morning, we have a morning offering. I offer myself, oh Jesus, through the Immaculate Heart of Mary, I offer you my prayers, works, joys, and sufferings of this day, in union with the holy sacrifice of the Mass, etc. And I will often, not often, I do every day, I'll pick someone or some group of people who need help in some way, or whose souls may be in peril, or who are just suffering, and offer my day to them. So you set this intention right at the beginning of the day that is, even if I don't think of the person or people again, which often happens too during the day or only briefly. I mean, I'll dedicate my rosary to them, for example. But the point is, I've already set my sights outward, away from me, my narcissistic, self-absorbed self. And then, I walk. I'm a huge believer in walking, and walking on so many levels is the greatest thing. It's good. It's just exercise. You're engaged with the world. You're praising the trees and the sky or whatever. You're looking at people. You're moving. Your blood is moving. So it's good physically, emotionally, spiritually. And it's also, if you want it to be, this kind of a little bit of a pilgrimage, a little bit of a penitential. It would be easier to drive if I have a car or take the train, but let me walk the 1.5 miles to this place. And whilst I'm on my way, right, maybe I'll pray a rosary for this person, or I'll just say the Jesus prayer, or I'll think about a post that I might write. I mean, when I have any kind of extra time, that's when I think, let me make a little video or write a blog post and take a couple pictures and just pass on some of the many, many things I've been thinking about and pondering. And then next thing you know, it's noon and you can pray the Angelus and maybe have a little bit of daytime prayer from the office and like that. So, and it's not that you never, of course you do stuff for yourself. You might buy a new jacket, or you got to go food shopping, or there's always the household chores and all of that, but still they can all, the more conscious I am of being grateful and of doing everything I do in as a member of the mystical body, in communion with the world. And so it does become, I think, this deeper, ever deeper sense of the constant presence of God, of my really severe limitations, of how easily I can veer off into judgment or resentment or obsession or obsessive worry. Again, I've mentioned this before. Every morning I say the surrender novena. I mean, you can pray the novena, or you can just say it 10 times. Someone gave me this wonderful Abbot Matthew Stark, former abbot of Portsmouth Abbey in Rhode Island, Portsmouth, Rhode Island. He sent me this beautiful card, Christ the Giver of Life, icon. And I always bring cards with me on my travels because they don't take up any room and they make the room, they give a visual of what my life is about. And so I look at that icon and just say, Jesus, I surrender myself to you. You take care of everything. So I'm going to do that with the passport thing. You can apply for an expedited passport because it takes a while. It's kind of cutting it close if I just send the routine. It will all be fine. And the worst thing that would happen is I couldn't go to Mexico and I'd forfeit my 50% deposit on the Airbnb. Life would go on. I also just want to mention, apropos or in conjunction with, I don't have it in front of me, but it's another, as you know, I'm constantly quoting Father Donald Haggerty and his wonderful books on contemplation. But he had this passage, I think it was either in Contemplative Enigmas or his book Conversion. He talked about the mystery of the horrible, horrible suffering of the truly poor, the third world poor, the destitute, those in sort of basically slavery, just people whose lives are just unremitting suffering. And why is this? And how can we explain it in the face of a loving God? And he kind of says, it may be those are the only souls poor enough and receptive enough for him to sort of settle in. I'm paraphrasing and not very well, but then he says, and the reason for that may be that so very few souls in the world are willing to take on the work of a life of prayer, to be united with Christ, to really, really lay down your life in a sense. So I find that I just am really, really pondering that. He's all about, not in a morbid sense, but all about really contemplating the wounds of Christ and recognizing I am complicit in those wounds. I continue to gouge those wounds open at times, and I think in the very best way that can help me, not to pile on more neurotic guilt or anything like that, but that's the deal. And I'll close with this. I often think of the very first moment, the hour I first believed, in a way, when I went to Mass I've written about this many times, went to Mass, a noon Mass at St. Basil's in Koreatown, LA. Wasn't in the church yet, but was seeking, and there was only one place left. I'd been to all the other churches, and there was only one church left, the last place I thought I'd ever end up. So I go to this noon Mass, and I'm like shaking with fear. I'm like, are they going to kick me out? I don't know how to act. I don't know what to do. I don't know the movements. I don't know when to kneel. And I just saw the crucifix. I saw the body of Christ above the altar, and all of it, the whole thing, just was not an intellectual. It was a feeling of profound compassion and pity for Christ and his suffering that just moved my heart. That is way beyond intellect. And saw that both compassion for him, and then saw that meant he was with me in my suffering and had been all along. And the other thing, and that kind of feeling that comes over you is just, it's never left me. I mean, I set out to RCIA right after that. I mean, that was it. I just have never wavered. I mean, that was it. This is my home. But the other thing I heard at the Mass was, Lord, I am not worthy to receive you. So strangely, I kind of got the whole thing without even in any way being able to articulate it to myself. But that this is God made man, came to earth to be one of us. Lord, have mercy. And I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy to receive your mercy. And yet it seems you're going to give it anyway. And you've not only forgiven me, you laid down your life for me and continue to. So it's this is it. It's the heart of life, the deepest meaning of existence to me. So anyway, the star is going to guide the Magi this weekend to the little infant Christ lying in a manger, and so may we order our day to love and be ever more like him. As Saint Therese of Lisieux said, may I become little, 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 more and more. That's my I don't even want to say resolution, my hope for 2025. Okay, thanks for listening. Blessed Epiphany.